Hello, today I want to talk to you about legendaries, more specifically on how to start getting them. When you first start playing the game, you'll notice that enemies get tougher and more difficult to kill as you level up. Typically that's after level 30 or 40. Part of the problem is that the game starts to assume that you have some legendaries from events. But many players don't, so they experience a steep rise in the difficulty curve. Once you've got a good set of legendary weapons and armor, your character will be very powerful. You'll easily be able to reach the daily 500 Scrip limit at the legendary exchanges, and you'll regularly be dumping 1 or 2 star legendary items because they're just not worth keeping. But legendaries are like money. Just like you need money to make money, to get legendaries, you need to have legendaries. Nobody's born with a legendary spoon in the mouth. Everybody starts at level 1 with nothing. So how do you go from 0 legendaries at the start of the game to having some that you can use to get more legendaries? I personally didn't experience that rise in difficulty because I ended up accidentally collecting a lot of legendaries early on, and in this video I'll show you how you can get started too. The first step is to get a good legendary weapon. This makes a huge difference to how well you can handle tougher enemies. Recently the devs have been leaning towards adding guaranteed weapons to events, and many of them have almost ideal legendary effects by default. Take advantage of that and do these events until you get a couple of good guaranteed weapons. Ideally you want to be level 50 so you get the best versions, but there's nothing wrong with getting lower level versions to help you explore and do the quests. You can always redo the events later on to get the highest level versions. So which are the best events to do? I would highly recommend Most Wanted from Nukatur. It gives you the Western Spirit Lever Rifle as one of 2 guaranteed weapons, and you can get it from level 25. It's great as a daily driver, so you can use it for exploring and questing. It's also economic enough that after every battle you'll often end up with more 45 ammo than you use. You can use those extra bullets to fuel the Elder's Mark. That's a Tommy gun with very high DPS that you can use for events or boss type battles, and you get it from level 15 on. The Beasts of Burden event has a 20% chance to drop the mark as one of the guaranteed weapon rewards. Holy Fire is another one of the guaranteed weapons you can get from that event. It's a vampiric flamer and it starts to drop at level 30. Flamers in general are very powerful and very high fire rate weapons, and with the vampiric effect you'll be constantly healing. It's almost surprising how few people seem to know about flamers before this weapon became available, but I think we can now say that everybody knows about flamers. The Holy Fire is a weapon you should break out when the crap hits the fan and you're in real trouble. It's not a weapon you should be using all the time unless you know how to farm for ammo. Those aren't the only guaranteed weapons around, and they're not the best for everybody. For example, if you use melee, they're not very useful, right? But for most players, they should provide a good starting point. You have an ammo efficient daily driver, the Western Spirit, a high DPS weapon for events, the Elder's Mark, that just happens to use the extra ammo you get from your daily driver, and the weapon you can pull out to save your butt, the Holy Fire. The most important part is that both Most Wanted and Beasts of Burden usually pull plenty of high level players to do the killing, and the only thing you need to do is to successfully complete the event. You should be able to get these weapons even at low levels. Don't turn down the other guaranteed weapons. Gunther's Big Iron and Love Tap are both very useful when you don't have better alternatives. Once you've got at least one good legendary weapon, you can actually participate in events. You want to focus on events that give you the most legendaries. I recommend Radiation Rumble as a great starting event to do. It always draws plenty of high level players, and because enemies tend to come from only 2 directions, it's very easy to get a lot of loot assigned to you. I did my first one at level 20 without knowing what the hell I was doing, and walked away with more legendaries than I'd ever seen in the game up to that point. As a low level player, you should focus on covering one of the tunnels and just tagging as many enemies as possible. Avoid going into the corridors because doing that spawns enemies at the center. A simple shotgun can help, just point and shoot. All you need to do is just 1 point of damage and the game will give you the full experience. This is known in the community as tagging. You'll still get the loot from just being nearby, but you may as well get the full experience from each enemy killed. Many players also drop excess loot after the event, so pick those up too if you need them. Eviction Notice is another great event for legendary loot, although it's quite a bit more dangerous. Just try and avoid getting killed while high level players do the killing. I've got separate video guides on how to do Eviction Notice, Radiation Rumble, and some of the other better events if you like some help. Keep anything that's useful to you. Anti-armor is always good and gets better towards the late game. Aristocrats or junkies give some of the highest damage boosts that you can maintain without too much trouble, although you may have trouble getting the highest bonuses at low levels. Bloody is very powerful, but it's only good if you're planning to play at low health at some point. There's a 500 Scrip daily limit, so you might not be able to exchange everything you picked up. Put the rest in your stash for tomorrow, or in a common container so others can benefit. One tip is that you can keep power armor in a frame. The frame weighs 10 regardless of how many pieces you have in it. So if you keep a few frames, you can keep a lot of power armor pieces to Scrip later. You can exchange the Scrip for legendary modules at the Rusty Pick. It's north of Nukatur and south of Flatwoods. Then go to the workbenches and modify a piece of gear to add or re-roll its legendaries. This is when things get grindy. Getting the right roll can be very expensive. The chance to get all 3 legendary stars that you want is 0.04 according to this Reddit post. I haven't double checked the figures, maybe they're not exactly right, but the point is that it's a very small chance. The best advice I can give is to think about what you want first. You want something that's endgame gear so you don't have to re-roll it again. Weapons should be your priority. A railway rifle is a great choice if you use VATS, because in VATS it's basically game-breakingly good. A good flamer is also very powerful. The good thing about Holy Fire and Elder's Mark is that you can re-roll the legendary properties without losing their inherent bonuses like faster rate of fire. Getting extra ones and re-rolling them is not a bad idea. Generally you should follow the same pattern I mentioned in the last section. Have a daily driver that hits hard and produces extra ammo, then pair that up with a high DPS weapon that consumes the same ammo. This works with primed weapons too. If you do it right, you should never need to craft ammo. So a Gatling gun with a minigun, or a Gauss rifle with a Gauss minigun, or a hunting rifle with a light machine gun, or a plasma caster and a plasma flamer. I'm sure you get the point. Once you have good weapons, armor is next. We're looking at Boss Recon, Covert Ops, or Secret Service armor. A tip is that if the armor needs legendary modules, you can save modules by crafting more armor instead of re-rolling the legendary properties. Scrip away the ones you don't want. For power armor, I favor Union for the inherent poison resistance and extra carry. The Atlantic City update has improved the stamp rewards for expeditions, so the grind shouldn't be as harsh as it's been up to now. But if the stamp cost is still too high, the T65 is a good alternative because you can buy it with gold. Whatever you choose, don't roll legendaries unless it's on endgame gear. Anything else is a waste. It's a good idea to buy the plans for your endgame gear as soon as possible, because gold gear now drops randomly as long as you know the plan. I have several sets of T65 power armor, and I've never once rolled a single piece. So there you are. You should now understand how to start your climb up the legendary ladder. Getting your first good legendary is the hardest step. But once you have a good weapon, you should be able to participate in all events and get lots more legendaries just by playing. Getting god rolls is just a matter of luck, so keep doing events and keep rolling. But remember to be patient and don't expect to get one overnight. Instead, you should enjoy the good ones you get along the way. You might be surprised at how good some of them are. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.